JC, he's improving. Put him through a workout today and see how he feels. And then tomorrow at the jog through, be able to learn a little bit more. But, I think he's headed in the right direction, but I think there's still a lot to be decided before game time on Thursday night. Keenan, is going to be a guy that is going to take some time, I think, with his hamstring. So I don't think it's looking great for this week, but you never know. I wouldn't put anything past Keenan, so we're not ruling him out, but a different situation than JC.
Yeah, they're going to rule him out today. You can't just say, well, the guy's a hell of a competitor. His hamstring is going to magically heal in 3 days. No. Hamstring injury needs time and rest, and even more than you think. When you think it's fine, it's still not fine, because when you go out there and run at full game speed, you put even more on it, and you really test whether or not that hamstring is healed. So I don't think we're going to see Keenan Allen. And frankly, they probably need J.C. Jackson more for the Chiefs. You need your best cover corners out there to cover the guy who not that it matters, because Patrick Mahomes is now going to go to read 2, read 3, read 4, but you need to have your best defensive backs available to deal with that onslaught they're going to be facing from the Chiefs.
100%. That's two unfortunate injuries. I mean, both are really important, because also, you talk about, like, hey, you got to keep pace with the Chiefs. I don't care who you got on defense. They're going to score some points, and you want to make some plays. And Keenan Allen's special. I mean, he's really, really awesome football player. He really is. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves at times. So that does stink that they won't have him. And, I mean, he got off to such a great start in the football game. And, what was it, 2 big catches, and all of a sudden he was hurt. This was the first one, and then I think this was just a few plays later, if not like the next play. Here he is, he's going, and this is where he hurts his hamstring. And that was it, I think. It might have been maybe another play after this. But I'm with you in the fact that, J.C. Jackson is the one I look at to be, like, the most important. The Chiefs' offense, they got a lot of people that they can throw the football to. I don't think you're going to just be able to depend on Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa getting pressure all game long. Not against this offensive line. They're good, and Andy Reid's smart and how to slow those guys down, and has a few tricks that way as well. So they need J.C. Jackson for those moments they want to match up and play some man-to-man. And I think, of course, J.C. Jackson's awesome in zone coverage, and Brandon Staley's an awesome zone coverage coach as well. The Chargers, watching that game on film yesterday, Mike, they got a nice look about their football team across the board. I mean, when their offense and defense walk on the field, you go, ooh, they look the part. They really do. And then their secondary with a J.C. Jackson and the Samuel kid, and then Bryce Callahan at the nickelback, and Derwin James at safety, and Adderley at the other safety, you go, whoa, this is a real deal secondary. So this is going to be their first big test with this team, these pieces that fit Brandon Staley's scheme, and we'll see if they can mess with these Kansas City Chiefs, who are the king of the AFC West.
There was a certain high-profile sports commentator who suggested going into the weekend that the Chargers would score the most points in week 1 of any team in the AFC West, but they would lose to the Raiders, which somewhat internally inconsistent. I mention that because I picked the Chargers to win over the Raiders, but I've picked the Raiders to finish higher in the division because I don't trust the Chargers, because it's always something. Remember I said that, the old Rosanna Dandelion, it's always something. And we're already dealing with the injuries. Hamstring injury, I can't sit here and say it's 100% preventable, but it's one of those soft tissue things that at some point there's a breadcrumb trail back to nutrition, flexibility, training, everything that is done to get guys ready to play and to keep them on the field. And again, I'm not saying you can avoid all hamstring injuries, but it's not the result of an awkward tackle. It's not the result of, your foot getting stuck in the ground. It's a strain to a muscle that can be in many cases avoided, and I just wonder about the infrastructure in that organization as it relates to keeping their guys healthy, because every year it happens. And you're right, you bring out your best guys fully healthy, damn, you got a hell of a team. but you got to keep him healthy for 17 games. That's the challenge for the Chargers.
It is. It's the challenge. There does seem something there. I don't disagree with you. I do think it's week 1 when you don't play in the preseason. Stars don't play in the preseason right now. That's another issue too, because it's just you haven't really stepped on the gas pedal like to the floor yet, and I think that's what gets guys too. Even in practice, even when they go, hey, it's live and all that, the emotions, the adrenaline isn't going quite the same to where you're straining to run like you are with the intensity of the stadium and the crowd and everything like that on a Sunday afternoon. So that always catches people too. I think that's where it gets it. But yeah, it's something that every organization has to continually evaluate, and we'll see as the year goes on. If it continues to happen, you start to go, yeah, there's something going on there that's not right, certainly. And Mike, I'm just going to throw this out there like curveball. It just, I don't know, in a lot of ways, it does almost seem unfair to NFL players to just, hey, it's week 2, and we're just getting used to the NFL season. Hey, it's 4 days later, you got to play a game. Hey, we're all about player safety, and you played a game, and it was the first time you played a game, and it was crazy, and now we got 4 days later, you got to play again, and it's a lot to ask of guys. It is early on in the season. There's a part of me that goes, I don't want to see this matchup on a Thursday. Or especially this early on in the year before teams have got going, because I'm not sure they're at their best and hitting on all cylinders and everything like that. I don't know. It's just food for thought that I throw out there that I think about sometimes.
To whom it may concern, at 345 Park Avenue, that was Chris Simms, not Mike Florio. That was Chris operating on his own volition with no influence, directly or indirectly.
Nothing from you. Right. But I think you maybe probably agree to a degree there. I don't know.
Well,
but I do want the Thursday game.
But I accept. Several years ago, I processed the whole anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance, because we aren't getting the teams at their best. And they've done the studies. The injury rate is no greater on Thursday than it is on Sunday. That's irrelevant to the question of whether the guys who got injured on Sunday are going to be ready to play on Thursday. That's the point. You want your best guys ready to go. You want your players healthy and able to go, and especially early in the season. I agree with you, Chris. If we're going to de-emphasize the preseason, which makes September essentially the preseason, it's a lot to turn it around from Sunday
That's all I'm saying.
To Thursday night. And hey, it's good that we don't have Steelers-Browns this week. We have Steelers-Browns next week, I believe, on Thursday night, because the Steelers went 70 minutes on Sunday.
Right.
And would have to turn it around on Thursday night. So whatever you say, you could put it eloquently like you did for a change, or you could call Thursday Night Football a poop fest like Richard Sherman, who ironically is now getting paid from the Thursday Night Football trough. I hadn't thought about that. Richard Sherman has a job with Amazon as part of the pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage, and he willingly took it, even though, I need to write about this today, Richard Sherman, or tomorrow, called Thursday Night Football in 2016, 2017 a poop fest. And that's been the tension. That's been the pushback. But it doesn't matter, Chris. It doesn't matter, because it's here to stay. Because it is yet another, what was the old Beverly Hillbillies? Jed was out in the backyard, and he was shooting up some food, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude. The NFL just keeps shooting around in the backyard, and they got bubbling crude coming up everywhere. They do this Thursday night thing, and it's a gold mine. It is.
It is.
So it's not going anywhere.
I know.
It's not going anywhere.
I can't wait. I'm not going to lie. I can't wait for tomorrow night. Yeah. I'm going to be sitting in the barn, and it's back to Retox time, and it's one of my favorite nights of the week.
Just don't fall off the beanbag chair. As two guys who love to be able to watch one game at a time, I want Tuesday night. I want Wednesday night. Work it out. Figure it out. Let's have a primetime game every night of the week. Wouldn't that be something if we had a game to watch and enjoy every night instead of the cluster of them that yes. So selfishly, we want it. And health and safety, there's a certain amount of lip service.
Yeah, it is.
They're going to gloss over it, and they're going to do what they're going to do. We accept that they're going to do what they're going to do. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.